Chapter 311, Don't Play Tricks on Me. However, before Jian Yun could finish her sentence, Huo Liancheng had already lifted her up and pushed her onto the bed. After the exercise, Jian Yun laid on Huo Liancheng's body and panted. She could not help but complain, "Look, my body has turned green again." Huo Liancheng was also very helpless. "Your skin is too tender. Just a light touch and you are like this. I am already very careful." Jian Yun pouted, but did not say anything, because the truth was indeed like this. To put it nicely, her skin was like snow, but it was also easy to bruise. "I always say that you have not touched a woman for 6 years. Then don't you have any physical desire?" Jian Yun looked up at Huo Liancheng and asked with sparkling eyes. "Yes." Huo Liancheng did not deny it. "How do you solve it?" Jian Yun was curious. "Find an ex-girlfriend," Huo Liancheng said seriously. Jian Yun heard this and pouted. A sour and uncomfortable feeling welled up in her heart. She widened her eyes and stared at Huo Liancheng. "What you said before about not having a woman is a lie." "I didn't lie to you." Huo Liancheng still had a serious expression. He deliberately pretended to be hesitant and said, "Actually, you know my ex-girlfriend too." Jian Yun became more curious. She frowned and could not help asking, "Who is it? Could it be some celebrity?" Huo Liancheng stretched out his right hand. Jian Yun was still wondering who Huo Liancheng's ex-girlfriend was. In her opinion, in order to satisfy the people around him, she could only meet the requirements of film stars. Jian Yun did not notice Huo Liancheng's actions. "Is it Song Shi or Chen Yu? I think the two of them have a better temperament, and it suits your taste." Jian Yun tried hard to suppress the bitterness in her heart and said seriously. Huo Liancheng's mouth twitched. "Who are they?" "I don't know them." "You don't know them? Don't you rich people like chasing after those female celebrities the most?" Jian Yun did not believe Huo Liancheng's words, although she rarely saw him having any scandals, but it wasn't like it hadn't happened before. She remembered that Huo Liancheng had brought a female partner from the film industry to the Moist Charity banquet last year. At that time, the news was full of speculation about the beauty pageant from the same rich family. "Is she his fiancée?" "I don't know them." Huo Liancheng waved in front of Jian Yun again. "Why do you keep waving?" Jian Yun wanted to know who Huo Liancheng's ex-girlfriend was. She felt that Huo Liancheng's hand was in the way, so she held her hand tightly. "Didn't you ask me who my ex-girlfriend was? I was introducing her to you." Huo Liancheng looked at Jian Yun and smirked. Jian Yun was stunned for a moment and looked around. Then she asked foolishly, "Your ex-girlfriend is also in this room?" Huo Liancheng nodded. Jian Yun looked at Huo Liancheng hesitantly. Then she seemed to have thought of something. She suddenly lowered her head and looked at Huo Liancheng's big hand. Jian Yun felt her eyelids jump. "What is it?" Huo Liancheng waved his hand in front of Jian Yun again. "Are you unhappy to see my ex-girlfriend?" Jian Yun pursed her lips with a conflicted expression. Her small face was pulled together. Of course, she had already realized that the ex-girlfriend that Huo Liancheng spoke of was actually his right hand. "Don't be so naughty." Jian Yun suddenly wanted to laugh. She did indeed laugh. The more she laughed, the more she stopped laughing. She could not help but laugh, especially when she thought of Huo Liancheng using his ex-girlfriend. "Is it very funny?" Huo Liancheng raised his eyebrows and tapped Jian Yun's forehead with his finger. "You heartless girl. I almost have kidney deficiency. You still have the cheek to laugh? Do you want to cook a dog whip for you tomorrow?" Jian Yun could not hold back her laughter. "Bad girl, you changed the way to scold me again. Don't think I can't hear you." Huo Liancheng suddenly turned around and pressed Jian Yun under his body. He pinched her nose. "How can I scold you? I am concerned about you." Jian Yun turned her head to hide, but Huo Liancheng was too tall. He bent over to look at her and completely enveloped her in his aura, leaving her with no way to escape. "Are you really concerned about me? Then let's do it again." Huo Liancheng suppressed Jian Yun and smiled maliciously. "Hey," Jian Yun said. "Ah, why do you hate it so much? Come on." Jian Yun was just about to object when she realized that she had already been invaded. She only had time to scream and her lips were blocked. Huo Liancheng was like a beast that did not know how to satiate itself. He launched another attack. The next morning, Jian Yun woke up again with her back aching. She looked at the time. It was only 6 o'clock, but Huo Liancheng was no longer on the bed. Jian Yun finished washing up and put on her clothes. She just happened to see Huo Liancheng open the door and come in through the door. He was wearing sportswear. Clearly, he was going to run in the morning. "Are you hungry?" Huo Liancheng saw Jian Yun and naturally came over to hug her slender waist. "Do you run every morning?" Jian Yun was curious about this question. Previously, she slept with him separately and woke up later in the morning, so she did not know his living habits. Pretty much. Running indoors when it rains. Huo Liancheng kissed Jian Yun and went into the bathroom to take a bath. Jian Yun took out the bread from the fridge and put it in the toaster. She heated the milk and made fried eggs. A simple breakfast was ready. At this time, Huo Liancheng had already taken a shower and changed his clothes. "Are you still driving today?" Huo Liancheng drank a mouthful of milk and asked. "Yesterday's sports car was released to the company. If I drove another car, I would probably drown in gossip." Jian Yun sighed helplessly. She really did not want to be so ostentatious. Huo Liancheng looked at Jian Yun. "Then why don't you come with me?" "Yes." Jianyun bit her bread and said, "Anyway, it is said that you wrap me up. I will go with you. Those people do not dare to say anything." Huo Liancheng looked at Jianyun and smiled. He suddenly changed the topic. "Keep your hair. I like your long hair." "Oh." Jianyun was stunned for a moment before she finally reacted. She could not help but roll her eyes. President Huo's thinking was too fast. At the same time, she rolled her eyes and placed her chin on the table. Blinking her big eyes, she deliberately asked, "Do you like long black hair? Like Lin Lanlan?" "That doesn't matter. I like the way you look with long hair." Huo Liancheng paused and looked at Jianyun. With a puzzled look, he asked, "Who is Lin Lanlan?" "Don't you remember? Back when Lin Rong messed with my mother in the hospital, Lin Lanlan later appeared. A beauty. A pure and clean beauty like a white lotus." Jianyun's eyes kept turning. At the same time, she spared no effort to praise Lin Lanlan's beauty. "Girl, don't play tricks on me." Huo Liancheng sneered when he heard her. "Aren't you afraid that I'm really interested in this white lotus?" Jianyun wrinkled her nose and said with disdain, "If you're interested, go and chase after it. I guess she wants it. As long as President Huo gives you a look, he will immediately crawl onto your bed." Chapter 312. A lover who can be seduced is not a true lover. Huo Liancheng put down his fork and squinted his eyes at Jianyun with an unfathomable smile. "Aren't you jealous?" "Why should I be jealous?" Jianyun straightened her back and sneered. "A lover who can be hooked is not a real lover." The smile on Huo Liancheng's lips slowly widened. "You admit that I am your lover?" Jianyun rolled her eyes at Huo Liancheng and ignored him. She lowered her head and took a bite of the bread as if she was venting her anger. "What happened yesterday afternoon? Someone told me." "Don't bother about that, Xia woman," Huo Liancheng said slowly. "There's something wrong with her brain." "Yeah, I forgot if you didn't tell me. Where is the child in Xia Bingbing's womb?" Jianyun deliberately pretended to be concerned and laid on the table. She said fearlessly, "That is your seed. What did you do to her?" Huo Liancheng's handsome face turned black when he heard her. A dangerous light flashed through his eyes. "You dare to say it again?" Jianyun saw that Huo Liancheng's expression was not right. She immediately looked around and listened. At the same time, she did not forget to provoke him. "Miss Xia is a socialite after all. Is this how you treat her? You are too irresponsible." "Ah!" Before Jianyun could finish speaking, she screamed in fear and jumped up from her chair. She saw Huo Liancheng, who had been sitting there the whole time, suddenly jumped up and appeared in front of her in a flash. Jianyun immediately kicked the chair and ran away. However, Jianyun immediately realized that the road in front and back was blocked by Huo Liancheng. His handsome face was cold and his eyes were burning with anger as he grabbed towards Jianyun. "Ah!" Jianyun screamed as she climbed onto the table, trying to escape from the table. However, Jianyun had obviously made a mistake. She had just climbed onto the table when she was caught by Huo Liancheng. He was like a hungry tiger pouncing on food and suddenly suppressed her. His eyes that were as deep as the night sky flashed with raging flames. "Bad girl. It seems like I have tolerated you too much. Now you even dare to talk nonsense like this." Jianyun's hands were held by Huo Liancheng, and she was pressed onto the table by him. She also knew that she could not escape, so she hurriedly smiled and begged for mercy. "It's just a joke. Don't be angry." "A joke? I don't think you are joking," Huo Liancheng said coldly. "If you are joking, why are you running away?" "You are the one chasing me. If you are chasing me, of course I will run away." Jianyun blinked her big eyes and looked innocent, but she also saw that Huo Liancheng was not happy, so she tried to curry favor with him and drew circles on his chest. "Don't be angry. I didn't know you didn't like to talk about Xia Bingbing. Then I won't say it next time." As she spoke, Jianyun even hooked Huo Liancheng's neck and kissed the cold corner of his mouth. The corner of her curved eyes was full of a fawning smile. "Don't mention it next time. That woman is crazy." Huo Liancheng's eyes were not as cold anymore, but he still did not let go of Jianyun. Jianyun asked curiously, "People like Xia Bingbing, why do you still keep her in Ming's? She does not have the ability at all. Back then when I was in the Human Resources Department, everyone did not like her. She doesn't know anything, she only knows how to tell people what to do. If she continues to work, the Human Resources Department will disband." Huo Liancheng chuckled. "The Ming's isn't owned by my family. What does it matter if she's here or not? I'm just a worker," he said. "I'll leave after I finish my job for a year. I'll only fulfill my promise." Jianyun could not help rolling her eyes at Huo Liancheng. "Why do I feel like you are gloating?" "Yes." Huo Liancheng squinted his eyes and smiled. "You're right. I'm the only one happy that the Ming's is going bankrupt. That way I can buy shares." "You can also buy shares now?" Jianyun rarely heard Huo Liancheng talk about work, so she could not help but become interested. "No, that's not right. Aren't you contradicting yourself? Since your goal is to acquire the Ming's, why do you still manage the Ming's so well? The Ming's has stopped its losses in the past 2 months. Won't it be getting further and further away from your goal if this continues?" "You don't understand." Huo Liancheng pulled Jianyun's nose, raised one side of her sword-like brows, and said with a smile, "Let's bring her back to life first." Jianyun's eyes lit up. "Then let's see if they have the ability to keep her alive. If not, they will go find you themselves." Huo Liancheng smiled and did not say anything, but the smile in his eyes confirmed Jian Yun's guess. Really bad, Jian Yun said angrily. It's not like I want to come. Old man Ming came to see me personally. Huo Liancheng was stunned by Jian Yun's look. Suddenly, he felt something stirring in his body. Jian Yun and Huo Liancheng were so close to each other. Naturally, they noticed it at the first moment. Her expression immediately changed. She hurried to push him. Hey, I still have to go to work. I'll be late. Duo er, you're the one who teased me first. Huo Liancheng was already so anxious that his heart was beating fast. How could he endure it? His large hands immediately began to move up and down irregularly. No. If we don't go out soon, we'll really be late. Jian Yun panicked. She really did not expect Huo Liancheng to be able to make love anywhere. With her understanding of him, this guy would never give up until he achieved his goal. But it was early in the morning. Be good, Duo er. Don't move. Huo Liancheng was smart. He did not care about anything else. He immediately ate up Jian Yun at the table. When Huo Liancheng and Jian Yun arrived at the company, it was almost 10 o'clock. However, the two of them directly took the elevator exclusive to the CEO from the underground parking lot. No one saw them. When they entered the office, Cheng Muze looked at Jian Yun and Huo Liancheng a few more times. Then, he revealed a knowing and wretched smile. When Huo Liancheng entered the office, Jian listened to Cheng Muze's instructions with a bitter face. She was in a very bad mood right now. Whenever she thought of the scene at the table in the morning, she felt a sense of shame rise from the bottom of her feet. She did not give Huo Liancheng a good look the entire time she was Sister Jian, did you hear what I said? Cheng Mu saw that Jian Yun did not know what she was thinking and could not help waving his hand in front of her eyes. Jian Yun came back to her senses. Seeing Cheng Mu's mischievous eyes, her face immediately turned red. I am listening. Pausing for a moment, Jian Yun looked up and asked in embarrassment. What did you say just now? Can you say it again? Cheng Muze laughed. You are really honest. Jian Yun spent the rest of the morning working seriously. During this time, Huo Liancheng called her and asked her to go in. She ignored him. If it was about work, he would definitely call Cheng Muze on the inside. If he called her on the phone, it would definitely not be a good thing. She would not fall for it. However, Jian Yun was also considering whether she should change her job. She kept meeting him all day long and felt that something was strange. Jian Yun still ate lunch with Wu Wenjing. However, she did not go to the company canteen but went to the restaurant outside. She told Wu Wenjing about this idea but was scolded by Wu Wenjing on the head. Silly you. You clearly know Lin Lanlan, that woman has bad intentions, but you still want to leave now. What if President Huo's will is not strong and he is hooked by her? At that time, you will cry until you have no tears. Chapter 313. What do we have to talk about? But it doesn't feel fresh anymore when we get sick of each other every day. Jian Yun ate a few mouthfuls of rice and said gloomily. Wu Wenjing thought for a while and nodded. That's true. You guys can't do this, but isn't President Huo only staying in Ming's for a year? Furthermore, he often has to go on business trips, so he doesn't get bored with each other every day. Jian Yun, let me tell you, you really need to be careful. Don't let what happened back then happen again. I'm not worried about that. He is different from Xu Haiyan. Jian Yun's eyes turned soft and she pursed her lips and smiled. You are so confident? Wu Wenjing raised her eyebrows and teased. Yes, that person has such a bad temper and is always cold. You said he is an iceberg and must stay away from him. Otherwise, you will freeze to death. Jian Yun giggled. Wu Wenjing curled her lips. What if someone is not afraid of the cold? Then she must beat me first. Jian Yun raised her eyebrows and said very coolly. Wu Wenjing gave Jian Yun a thumbs up. All right then. Anyway, I can't beat you. Let's talk about you. Have you thought about it? Do you want to accept Mr. Bai or not? Jian Yun changed the topic. Mr. Bai was Wu Wenjing's classmate. I don't know. I don't like him that much, but I feel that being with him is not bad. I am more reliable, so I am conflicted. Wu Wenjing's face fell and she sighed. Her parents divorced at a very young age and had always lived with her grandmother. Later on, when her grandmother passed away, she was the only one left. After so many years, although she had parents, she had not seen them twice a year. She had long gotten used to living alone. Thus, when someone suddenly came to care for her, it caused her to lose her mind and her heart. Wu Wenjing, you must think clearly about marriage matters. You must not be like Yan Yan, or else you will be the one suffering in the future. Jian Yun could not say much. After all, this was Wu Wenjing's life. Outsiders could not interfere, whether they were willing or not. It was all her own choice. However, Jian Yun was not worried about Wu Wenjing because her personality was more aggressive. She was not like Luo Yanyan, who went against her will. Even if she was not happy in the future, she would definitely not tolerate that kind of life. I know. Wu Wenjing supported her cheek and smiled at Jian Yun. Actually, Jian Yun, Yan Yan and I really envy you. What is there to envy about me? Jian Yun was puzzled. There is such a good man waiting for you. Isn't it enviable? Wu Wenjing said. You should know that men like President Huo only exist in novels. Jian Yun lowered her eyes and sighed softly. She said, actually, from the moment he approached me, I had a feeling of unease. Because the difference in status between you two is too great? Wu Wenjing said with understanding. Zhen Yun nodded, and did not continue to talk about this topic, because it had already become a thorn in her heart, and she did not want to touch it easily. After lunch break ended, when Zhen Yun returned to the office, she saw Huo Liancheng talking to Cheng Muz. When she saw Zhen Yun, he waved his hand. Zhen Yun walked over slowly. This was the company, and she could not treat Huo Liancheng as casually as she did at home. Even if she still hated being raped by him in the morning, she could not reveal it now. After all, they had to separate from each other. I'm going to the imperial capital. I'll be back in 2 or 3 days. Come with me? Huo Liancheng ordered. What are you going to do? Jian Yun asked. Business. Huo Liancheng turned around and walked into the office. Jian Yun looked at Cheng Muz and followed him. She closed the door and asked, Why do you want me to talk business? I'm lonely and cold. I want you to accompany me. Huo Liancheng sorted out the documents on the table and turned his head. Jian Yun's mouth twitched. Forget it. What? You don't want to be with me? Huo Liancheng could tell Jian Yun was unhappy, and his eyes flashed with displeasure. It was not that Jian Yun did not want to go. Right now, her relationship with Huo Liancheng was rising. Although she kept saying that she did not want to be together every day, from the bottom of her heart, she had already gotten used to his aura and his company. However, she was really afraid of his strong desire that made one's hair stand on end. Looking, she was a little conflicted for a moment. Huo Liancheng could not get Jian Yun's answer. He put down the things in his hands and walked in front of her. My grandparents will come tomorrow. I want to accompany them. Jian Yun could only find a clumsy excuse. She carefully looked at Huo Liancheng's expression and considered her words. I will accompany you when I go out next time. Huo Liancheng lowered his eyes and fixed his gaze on Jian Yun. He did not say anything for a long time. Jian Yun was nervous to death by his gaze and thought that he was angry. She quickly pulled his big hand and was conflicted. Finally, she gritted her teeth and said, All right then, I will go with you. However, what surprised Jian Yun was that Huo Liancheng snorted coldly when he heard her. He pushed Jian Yun's hand away and said, I have a face full of reluctance. I suddenly changed my mind. You stay at home. Jian Yun's smile froze. She looked at Huo Liancheng's tall back as he turned and left. She did not know whether she was relieved or disappointed. Huo Liancheng finally brought Cheng Muz and Zhang Xiaolin to the big office. Jian Yun was the only one left in the big office. She suddenly felt empty in her heart. When it was almost time to get off work in the afternoon, Jian Yun received a call from Wu Wenjing and asked her to have dinner together tonight. Jian Yun came out early and Wu Wenjing was not here yet. Jian Yun waited in front of the Ming's main door. At this moment, the sun was setting and the sunset was filling the sky. The horizon was bright red and very beautiful. Although the scenery was good, it could not compare to Bear. Today, Jian Yun was still wearing the clothes Huo Liancheng had chosen for her. It was a simple fluffy shirts. The black dress made her temperament fresh like morning dew in early summer. It made people involuntarily look at her. It was a stunning look. However, there were people who knew Jian Yun in the past. Most of them looked at her with a trace of strangeness in their eyes. From time to time, people would point at her and whisper to each other. Jian Yun naturally saw the looks in these people's eyes, but she did not want to care and did not care. Their mouths were on their bodies. If she cared about anything, she would be annoyed to death. Jian Yun. Jian Yun heard someone calling her from behind. She turned her head to look, but saw Lin Lanlan standing a few meters away and staring at her. Of course, Jian Yun did not miss the jealousy and hatred in Lin Lanlan's eyes when she looked at her. Jian Yun, can we talk? Lin Lanlan saw Jian Yun looking over and quickly lowered her eyes. She covered the expression in her eyes, and her face recovered the delicate and moving white lotus-like expression of time as she softly asked, Do we have anything else to talk about? Jian Yun's expression was calm. She looked at the person who came out with Lin Lanlan. She knew that Lin Lanlan had entered the public relations department. There were no lack of beauties in the public relations department, but there were many women who had a lot of inconsistencies. Furthermore, in public, her every move was being watched by everyone. Perhaps this was Lin Lanlan's goal. Chapter 314, Your Father Can't Wait. Even if there is a misunderstanding between us, no matter what, we have known each other for more than a decade. Lin Lanlan smiled lightly. Under everyone's gaze, she stretched out her hand as if she wanted to shake hands with Jian Yun. Jian Yun, give me some face. How about we have dinner together tonight? However, Jian Yun acted as if she did not see Lin Lanlan's outstretched hand. She took a few steps back, and the corners of her lips curled into an indifferent smile. I see. It's not necessary. I have an appointment. Lin Lanlan did not say anything, but the few women from the public relations department beside her spoke in a strange tone. Jian Yun, did you climb up President Huo's big tree and look down on us, small employees? You don't even appreciate a meal. This is too much. Yeah, let's have a meal together. I heard Lanlan say that you guys have known each other since young. After so many years of relationship, don't get separated because of men. Someone else chimed in from the side. Jian Yun just stood there indifferently and looked coldly at Lin Lanlan and her friends. How could she not see that Lin Lanlan had actually deliberately found these people to come over? It was just an act. If she did not agree now, then the company would definitely spread gossip about her. This was also Lin Lanlan's usual trick. Hey, why are you so many people surrounding Jian Yun? Are you bullying her? Before Jian Yun could say anything, Wu Wenjing's voice could be heard. After that, Jian Yun saw Wu Wenjing separate the crowd and rush in front of her. Like a mountain, she fiercely glared at Lin Lanlan. It's you again, Lin Lanlan. Why are you so shameless? You deliberately approached Jian Yun and then snatched her boyfriend. Now that man doesn't want you anymore, what do you want to do? Did you fall in love with someone and want to snatch her? I say, can a woman like you have some pride? If you have time, take care of your own mother. She's been accused of murder and sentenced to prison. That brother of yours is still on the run. Why do you still have time to stay here and act as if nothing has happened? Jian Yun felt that Wu Wenjing's mouth was really poisonous. Every sentence she said hit Lin Lanlan's vital point. She could only watch Lin Lanlan's expression change. It was like a palette, and in the end, it was as white as dirt. However, Lin Lanlan could not refute and did not dare to refute because she wanted to maintain her weak image. She could not let her be like a shrew and scold Wu Wenjing on the spot. Wu Wenjing, what nonsense are you talking about? Lin Lanlan was so angry that she could not speak. The few women beside her came together to scold Wu Wenjing. Did I talk nonsense? You guys ask her. Jian Yun, let's go. Wu Wenjing did not want to bother with these women. The public relations department was socializing outside every day. They were all smart people. She did not believe that these women were really so good with Lin Lanlan. It was just that they had their own thoughts. Jian Yun was cold. Jian Yun coldly swept her gaze over Lin Lanlan. Lin Lanlan was also looking at her. Her eyes were no longer as pitiful as before. Instead, they were filled with vicious hatred. It was as if a poisonous snake was coiled around her, and she wished that she could pounce out and bite Jian Yun. However, Jian Yun's eyes landed on the necklace on Lin Lanlan's neck. It was a very beautiful necklace. The necklace was shaped like a heart, and the character Lan was embedded in the middle. One look and one could tell that, let I say, this woman is really thick-skinned. Do you really think that no one knows what she did in the past? Wu Wenjing was still nagging and pushing Jian Yun away. Jian Yun slightly raised the corner of her lips. Lin Lanlan really knows how to act. She still remembered when she met her at the coffee shop more than a month ago. She was clearly dressed in a hot dress, a short skirt, and a big wave. Why did she pretend to be a lady now? She wore a long white dress every day and had long black hair. But no matter what, Jian Yun did not like Lin Lanlan. Because she had suffered too much back then, she did not even want to see that. Fortunately, Huoliancheng would only stay in the Mings for a year. Moreover, he always looked like he did not let anyone in. Ordinary people would not be able to get close to him easily. She was not worried about what would happen between Linlan and Huoliancheng. She could only blame herself. However, Jian Yun also remembered that it had been a long time since Linran was captured. Why was the court not open yet? Moreover, her father had not contacted her since that day when he called her to withdraw the lawsuit and was rejected. During this period, she had called her father and no one answered the call. She did not even reply the text messages. Jian Yun had already lost hope for Jian Dongming in her heart. He had not paid attention to her for so many years. Regardless of whether the mother and daughter lived or died, they clearly did not want to acknowledge her. Jian Yun walked halfway and remembered that the supercar she drove out yesterday was still in the parking lot. She pulled Wu Wenjing along and drove out of the car park. Coincidentally, they met Lin Lanlan's small beetle. It rained in the afternoon, and there was a water pit on the ground. The supercar roared past. Lin Lanlan's beetle was immediately splashed with a car of mud. Lin Lanlan was so angry that she kicked the car and screamed. In the car, Jian Yun speechlessly looked at Wu Wenjing, who was driving. This is very unsavory. Think about Lin Jian's flustered and exasperated look. Don't you feel that it is very relieving? Wu Wenjing winked at Jian Yun. All right. Jian Yun admitted that it was indeed very relieving. After eating with Wu Wenjing, Jian Yun went straight to the hospital. Wu Yangfei's health had recovered quite well, and the doctor suggested that she could start rehabilitation. Furthermore, her hair had grown out, and she looked much better. But tonight, when Wu Yangfei saw Jian Yun, she waved at her. Yun Duo, come over, Mom. Jian Yun put down her bag and walked over to sit on the chair by the bed. Your dad is here today. Wu Yangfei looked into Jian Yun's eyes and directly asked, Yun Duo, did you not give that divorce agreement to your father? Jian Yun's heart immediately jumped. She pursed her lips and was silent for a long time before saying, Yes, I did not give it to him. Why? Can you tell me? You don't want me to divorce your father? Ever since Wu Yangfei thought it through, her temper was no longer as irritable as before. At this moment, she asked Jian Yun patiently. No, Jian Yun answered honestly. What do you think now? Wu Yangfei was also very surprised when she heard this. Previously, when Jian Yun advised her to let go and divorce Jian Dongming, she had blamed Jian Yun and felt that Jian Yun did not think for her. Later on, she thought it through and was willing to divorce. She did not expect that Jian Yun would not give the divorce agreement to Jian Dongming. Now Wu Yangfei was also confused. Jian Yun rubbed her face and said sadly, I don't know. She was indeed unable to explain. On one hand, she very much hoped that her mother would leave an irresponsible man like her father. On the other hand, she was afraid. Jian Yun did not know what she was worried about. It seemed that she had already subconsciously believed that the reason why her father treated her and mother like this was because she was not her father's biological child. Yunduo, let the lawyer do it as soon as possible. Wu Yunfei saw Jian Yun in a daze and could not help but sigh. Your father cannot wait. What does he want to do? Jian Yun raised her head to look at Wu Yunfei. He wants to give Lin Rong a name before she is locked up. Wu Yunfei suddenly narrowed her eyes and sneered. Do you think your father is really compassionate? Chapter 315. She and I look very much like each other. Jian Yun heard this and her mind went blank. It was as if something had exploded. She blinked and took a long time to digest the sentence. Wu Yunfei continued to sneer. The police came a few days ago and said that the evidence was almost collected. The court will be held soon. If nothing goes wrong, Lin Rong's intentional murder would definitely not escape. There's also her son. There is a witness who proved that he had appeared in our family that day and also inquired about our family's address. Although the surveillance is not clear, but after comparing it, it is him. Now that he was escaping, once he was caught, he would definitely not be sentenced lightly. Just like that, your father actually thinks that Lin Rong is innocent. Did father be brainwashed by Lin Rong? Jian Yun could only think of this reason. Otherwise, there was no way to explain why Jian Dongming was so loyal to Lin Rong. In her impression, her father was a very smart and capable person. Don't you know that your father and Lin Rong were first love? They had talked about it when they were in junior high and then separated. After we got married, I was not pregnant for a few years, and they met again by chance. At that time, Lin Rong and her ex-husband had just divorced and she had a son. It was very hard. Your father was full of sympathy and wanted to be a flower guardian. Just like that, the two of them hooked up and hid it from me for more than 20 years. Wu Yunfei got angry when she said this. She was like a fool. When she saw Lin Rong back then, she treated her so well. She did not expect that she would lead a wolf into the house and become the modern Mr. Dongguo. Jian Yun did not know what to use to describe her current mood. But this was the matter of her elders. Even if she wanted to scold people in her heart, she could not say it. She could only close her mouth and listen to Wu Yunfei angrily state her resentment. Mom? Jian Yun hesitated for a moment before she carefully asked. I heard someone outside saying. What did you say? Wu Yunfei asked. Tell me that I am not father's daughter. Jian Yun bit her lips and lowered her eyelids as she softly said. Wu Yunfei heard this, but did not speak for a long time. Jian Yun kept her head down. At this time, when she saw Wu Yunfei did not speak, her heart could not help but sink. She subconsciously raised her head to look at Wu Yunfei and also noticed that Wu Yunfei's expression was stunned and a trace of complexity flashed in her eyes. Jian Yun's heart jumped again. Could it be that this matter was real? Mom, is that really the case? Jian Yun did not know what to feel in her heart and her voice was trembling. Do you believe it? Wu Yunfei finally opened her mouth and asked Jian Yun back. Her eyes that looked at Jian Yun also flashed with a dark light. I don't know. I didn't believe it at first, but Jian Yun's voice became lower and lower. Don't believe those gossips outside. Wu Yunfei finally sighed and held Jian Yun's hand. She softly said, Yunduo, you have to believe in mother. Your mother is not that kind of person. Jian Yun's nose suddenly became sore and tears could not help but flow down her face. Wu Yunfei's words actually made her feel a heart that she had never felt before. In the past 20 years, her father treated her like a little princess in his hands. She was the happiest. Therefore, although she hated Jian Dongming as well, she did not want those rumors to be true. This would make her feel uncomfortable. Your father still believed Lin Rong's words. Wu Yunfei smiled bitterly. Back then, I found out that they had an affair. In order to make your father feel uncomfortable, I said, you are not his daughter. Originally, you just wanted to make him feel uncomfortable. With your father's personality, he will definitely do a paternity test. When the truth is revealed, he will not say anything. However, the results of the paternity test later proved that you and him are not related by blood. I told you there was a problem with the appraisal, but your father didn't believe me. The more Jian Yun heard, the more shocked she was. Mother, why do I not know about these things? I only found out later, because of the appraisal, Lin Rong and I had a dispute and was pushed down the stairs by her. I thought your father would see Lin Rong's face clearly. Heh, who knew? At that time, your father's heart would not be on us mother and daughter anymore. Wu Yunfei's eyes twitched nervously, and the corner of her mouth revealed a trace of a cold smile. This cold smile on her thin face appeared a little sinister and scary. Mother, do you mean Lin Rong did something to that appraisal? Jian Yun held Wu Yunfei's hand tightly and asked with a flash in her eyes. You are your father's daughter. There is no doubt about this, but Lin Lanlan is your father's daughter. Ha ha! Wu Yunfei lightly smiled. But since we were young, everyone said Lin Lanlan and I looked very similar. Jian Yun frowned. Let's wait and see. Fire cannot be wrapped. It is the truth. There will be a day when it will be revealed. Wu Yunfei lovingly stroked Jian Yun's hair, and her voice also became gentle. The luckiest thing in my life is having you, Yunduo. Mommy is really happy and grateful. After experiencing so many things, you can still be so calm. Unlike Mommy, the past 6 years, now that I think about it, it is simply a nightmare. Mother. Jianyun placed her face in Uyanfei's palm. Although what she heard today made her a little shocked, no matter what, Mother being able to be safe, being together with her, is the greatest fortune. Let the lawyer settle the divorce as soon as possible. After all, your dad and I are husband and wife. Mom had already thought it through. Even though he lied to me for so many years, he did treat us very well back then. It can be considered as an act of atonement. I also do not wish to tear it too badly. That's it. Wu Yangfei pulled her hand back and took out a box from under the pillow. She handed it to Jianyun. This is for you. Jianyun was a little surprised. It had been so many years. This was the first time Jian Dongming had given her something. She hesitated for a moment before accepting it. The box was not big, like a jewelry box. Jianyun rubbed the protruding pattern on the outside and did not dare to open it for a moment because she was afraid that her expectations would fail. Open it and take a look. Wu Yanfei seemed to be a little tired. Jianyun looked up at Wu Yanfei and then gently opened the box. Immediately, there seemed to be a flash of light in front of her eyes. She narrowed her eyes and saw that the box was really filled with jewelry. Furthermore, it was a necklace. It is a set of earrings that your father custom-made for you on your 20th birthday. Wu Yangfei clearly knew what was in the box a long time ago. She looked at the colorful necklace pendant under the light, and a trace of a dazed expression flashed across her face. Jianyun stared at the necklace, and after a while, she closed the box. Wu Yangfei lifted her eyelids and saw that Jianyun's expression was not right. She could not help but ask, "What, you don't like it?" "No." Jianyun stiffly pulled the corner of her mouth and said with a smile, "It looks very good." "It doesn't matter if you don't like it. If he gives it to you, you can take it." Wu Yangfei did not ask any more questions. Jianyun was staring at the box in a daze. Her expression was not right because she found this necklace very familiar. It was clearly the same as the one she saw Lin Lanlan wear on her neck in the afternoon. This necklace only changed the middle word for her name.